Welcome to the Bedroom to Boardroom podcast with me, Noel Reeves, the podcast aimed to help SME owners to do better with their businesses. Today I'm joined by Jamie Simpson from Monopoli Capital. Jamie, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much for having me. Appreciate it.
I was really excited when you were happy to come on and do this with me, because I think our listeners are going to get a lot of benefit from it, a lot of value. So do you want to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about what you do?
Yeah, sure. I'm a part of Monopoli Capital. We're a private investment company that takes shares in small to medium-sized businesses, help them scale, fix their problems, and eventually help them exit so they can realise some value from their shareholdings.
Just give us a bit of a background as to how you got into doing that then. What's the story of Jamie?
Yeah, sure. So I've been involved in typical entrepreneurial stories, selling stuff at school and always trying to make money, etc.
What was your biggest school seller then?
Cigarettes, for sure. Yeah, I've spoke about this before, but I actually got excluded from school for smoking. But I've never actually tried a cigarette in my life. But my granddad lived out in Spain, so he used to bring the duty-free cigarettes back with him, so I could sell them for 50p each or free for £1. Yeah. And I got excluded from school because I got caught with them. I did all sorts of dead-end jobs. So I've been a doorman, I've been a taxi driver, I've worked in warehouses, I've done low-end sales jobs. So there was a big gap between that entrepreneurial outlook in life to getting involved in business. And it wasn't actually until I became a taxi driver simply so I could have the independence and work when I want and not have anyone tell me what to do, which I think is the main trait of an entrepreneur, that I kind of pivoted and saw a niche where we could transport people in wheelchairs. So I set up my own company transporting people in wheelchairs, targeted local authorities and care homes and built up a great reputation with them. Started expanding my workforce and outsourcing a lot of the work and made a business from that. And that's where I really started cutting my teeth into the world of business and started learning more through the traditional methods of reading books and modelling myself on successful people.
Right, brilliant. So who did you model yourself on in the early days?
Aristotle Onassis, have you heard of him?
Yeah.
He was the richest man in the world back in the day.
Yeah.
Married Jackie Kennedy.
Yes, right, yeah.
I was really, really into him. I've watched a couple of films about him and read his books. He was an extravagant gentleman.
Yeah.
And then I've got some mentors that coincidentally, Aristotle, right-hand man, was a gentleman called Costa Gravas from memory, and he was one of my mentors. So there was some overlap there, and that made me dig a bit deeper. And I'm a big fan of Aristotle and Onassis.
Yeah, okay, well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So you how do you go from that then to getting involved in other businesses?
Well, I watched the film Thomas Crown Affair, fantastic film about acquisitions. I thought, I'm doing all right at this taxi business. I can take this to a new level. And I stumbled across a gentleman called Dan Pena, who does acquisitions courses. I didn't really know what acquisitions were. I didn't know it was an acquisition course. I thought it was a self-improvement course. So I invested my life savings to go to that course. And it was 7 days long. And the last 2 days, he started talking about M&A and mergers and acquisitions and PwC and all these words. I had no idea what they meant. And I left there and my head was spinning. So I just went through my notes and I said, right, I'm just going to follow it step by step of what he said, even though I don't really know what he's talking about. And I put together a fantastic board of directors, including a Premier League chairman, a CFO from Merrill Lynch and industry experts. And I was ever so close to acquiring a group of care homes for 11 million without having a clue of what I was doing. That eventually fell out of bed and it cost me a lot of money in legal fees. But then I just went back, analysed my weaknesses of what I didn't know, started filling in the gaps with different courses, mentors, books, etc., and just developed my knowledge from there, really. So, there's definitely no silver spoon involved, that's for sure.
Talk to me then talk to us about what you're doing now then. So what Monopoli Capital, what do you do?
Monopoli Capital consists of 3 partners. You've got myself, a gentleman called Richard Pennock, who's an ex-investment banker. He started and sold a company for 7 figures. He's probably the brains of the outfit, if you like. And then you've got Stephen Pettigrew, who's based up in Scotland. He's been involved in a large family business that does 50 million in turnover. And he's also exited, I think, 2 companies now himself.
Right.
So there's lots of different skill sets involved there, and 3 different personalities that blend really well together.
Yeah.
And what Monopoli do is we take shareholdings in small to medium sized businesses. I think the smallest company we work with does about 500k in turnover. The largest does about 7 million. We take an equity position in them and take them to the next level, so that let's say we take 30% in a company, they're left with 70%. We want to make their 70% worth a lot more than what their original 100% would be without us.
Yeah.
And then what we look to do is exit into the future, whether that's selling our shareholding back to them or all exiting together, so that they can realise some actual value from their shareholding instead of just having a job they own for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, and that's I see that, and I see a lot of what I'm trying to do with my business is not necessarily build it to sell, but build it to run without me.
Sure.
Whether you sell it or don't sell it,
You've got the option then, haven't you?
Yeah, and also it gives you the freedom, I think. And I'm not there. Whether I'll ever truly be there, I don't know. But that whole thing about making yourself redundant is, I think, is a really powerful motive, because we all love our businesses and we love to get involved in the minutiae detail. Yeah. But it's not healthy.
No, but by creating a business in a box, there's also another level there that I've learned through my acquisitions experience, because I've had a number of acquisitions since my failed one, my big failed one. But if you can create a business in a box where you're not needed, then what you've done is you've created a load of standard operating procedures for your business, which have been proven and work. Yeah. So what you can then do is go and acquire another business to either bolt on with your existing business or run parallel and introduce similar SOPs if the culture fits. So you can literally double the size of your business overnight by making an acquisition. Yeah. And that could be an opportunity for you. If you're not interested in doing the day-to-day, it might be more exciting for you to wake up in the morning and say, let's go and buy some businesses. I already know how to run them, and I've got the processes, and I could maybe buy one that's bigger than ourselves and grow that way. Yeah. So it's another avenue to follow.
Okay, I'll bear that in mind. So when you talk to a lot of different businesses, and you see the things that happen in them, are those like SOPs? Are they relatively common? Like there must be like a blueprint for what good looks like.
Yeah. So at Monopoly, we've got roofing companies, HVAC companies, electrical companies, IT support companies, marketing companies, domiciliary care, transport companies. So a whole range of industries. But ultimately, it all starts with the foundations, which is financial reporting, understanding your numbers, making sure you are actually making a profit instead of just putting a markup on everything, forecasting your cash, making sure you're getting a return on marketing spend, etc. So instead of making decisions based on emotion, you're making decisions based on data. Yeah. And once you make decisions based on data, you can teach other people in your business to make decisions based off data. So you can start to build that business in a box that you were talking about. Yeah. And then the creativity is where the emotion can come into it.
Yeah. That's interesting, because I think after we started talking, then I saw you'd posted something that you wanted some help with something, and with was it Monday.com?
Yeah.
And
you were straight onto that.
Yeah, so it's a joke, because Joe in my team is like, he's owned that, and I'll show you after we finish filming. Yeah, if you want to have a look at what we've built with that and the data that we've got, and we want to know anything about our business, we can tell you exactly.
And you could be sat by a pool on the Monday.com
absolutely,
app and review that remotely. Yeah. And if you see a trend that you don't like, you can nip that in the bud and then delegate that to somebody. Yeah. But if you're away by the pool and how's things going? Yeah, things are going well, but they've got no data to support that. It's a different conversation, right?
It's mad, actually, that I think now the amount of data that we've got, and we are all about database decisions, how we managed to get to where we got to without that. Yeah. If I want to know, okay, how much did our average order value increase or decrease from one year to the next, or from one quarter to the next prior to 2022, I could not tell you, other than just doing a manual calculation from the orders. And like now I can tell you exactly how much we're up on last year, what our average order value is, like deal cycles, everything. So much data that we track now. And I think that is such a powerful tool for any business to do, is to have someone who understands data and how to garner it and report on it.
But now you've got those skill sets, you could go into a business in your industry as a consultant or a non-exec, or take a percentage in it under Rocket, for example, implement those changes because it's a skill set that you've learned, add value to that business, and then get something in exchange for it. So it's all about building skill sets and understanding data.
Yeah, for sure. I'll watch this space.
Yeah, exactly.
Rocket Capital.
Like that.
Yeah. So we start with the fundamentals then. Talk about the financials. Like what are the things that you see in most businesses that come to you?
It's the things I don't see.
Well, okay, yeah. But yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, go on then.
Most people just don't understand financial reporting. They don't have a cash flow forecast. They don't have a sales forecast. They put a markup on their work, thinking that. So if they put a 30% markup, they're thinking they're making a 30% profit, but they're not actually including their overheads. They don't know how much they're actually spending on everything. So, for example, they might not know that they've still got 4-year-old subscriptions that they thought had been cancelled from years ago. So it really is basic and just analysing your bank statements and putting that data into a forecast. But most people don't do that. They spend a lot of money on marketing, but they don't actually monitor the return on investment that they spend on it. They just say, oh, we need that because that's where we get our leads from. Well, how much are you earning from these leads? How much are you spending on marketing? So it really is just data focused financial reporting at the beginning. And I'd say a lot of our work, which I've only realised this lately, is getting people to consult us before making key decisions in the business. Because a lot of people are self-sabotaging and they score a lot of own goals. Yeah. So if they just run it by us, we've tend to seen it between us, we've been there, done it, seen it, we can stop them scoring own goals, which could set them back 3, 4, 5, 6 months.
Yeah, that's a good shout. So what are the other things then? So apart from financials, obviously let's talk about the cash flow forecast, because you mentioned that earlier. And we said about how important that is. But I think everyone's heard of a cash flow forecast, whether they implement it or not. Is there an argument that, most people have an accountant? Do you see that, our accountants actually, making sure their clients are doing that? Or is that a common theme that they leave behind?
From what I've seen, accountants don't provide this service. And if they do, they're going to charge you an arm and a leg for it. Yeah. I personally think everyone should be taught how to use a cash flow forecast when setting up your limited company on Company's House. Yeah. And the reason for that is it's probably the most essential tool for any business, because it shows you, instead of being reactive, so what I see of a lot of businesses, and I'm sure you've seen this as well, you judge how well you're doing by your bank account on your online banking in the morning. But actually a cash flow forecast allows you to see into the future and see what your bank balance is on any given date based on any incoming or outgoing funds in the future. So you can see, oh, okay, we've had a good week this week, which the bank account shows, but cash flow forecasts say, well, in 5 weeks' time, our bank balance is going to be minus 60 grand because we've got this big order going out and we've not got any other invoices coming in before then. So it allows you to see into the future and get proactive by manipulating either outgoing payments or bringing in earlier payments. So you can really plan ahead rather than being reactive. Yeah. And a lot of people, when you are reactive, it's too late by then because you've run out of cash. Yeah. You could be the most profitable company in the world, but if you don't have the cash to pay your bills, it's a waste of time.
And so finance is obviously the foundation, right, of any business, money. And it's probably the one thing that most businesses struggle with.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any excuse for it, because you've heard my story. I don't come from a finance background. It's something that you can teach yourself. Yeah. You can get a mentor to teach you, or you can bring people in like us that have the systems and processes to implement with you while we teach you how to do it. But if you don't understand your numbers, I don't think you should be running a business, particularly if you've got staff, because those staff have mortgages, those staff have families. Yeah. And if you don't know what's going on with your own figures in your business, you're not just messing with your own future and your family's future, you're messing with other people's. Yeah. So I think you need to take responsibility and really understand financials. Yeah. And if anything, I'd say that would be the key takeaway from this conversation on this podcast today. Cash flow forecast, sales forecast, start there, and you'll be in the top 20% of small businesses. Yeah,
no, it's interesting because in the early days of my business, I definitely wasn't looking at that. I was that guy you spoke about, look at the online banking. Yeah, no, we're doing all right. I'll take it one step further and look at what is in my, what's due, what I've got, creditors and debtors. Yep. Look at that and I think, okay, yeah, I'm good. I've got money in the bank.
Not everybody does that, by the way.
Yeah, well, yeah, but now we do take it to a different level, and we try and, we're trying to work hard to make sure that that's good. Mostly because we are an exhibitions company, and during COVID, we were wiped out for 18 months. So we had to be so careful with the money that we had at the start to try and make it last.
And that's where you'd go to the daily, for example, just to give you the peace of mind so you can see what the figures are every single day.
Yeah, it was a horrible time, as you can imagine, but with literally nothing coming in.
And you're on a monthly now?
We're on a rolling 12-week
for
cash flow forecast.
Yep. Perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah. And, it seems to be working.
Yeah.
We don't always get it. It's not always spot on, but like you say, you can spot things further in advance if you're doing it that way.
I think that's a really good point. Some people think it's a test. And they put the figures in that they think you want to see. But actually it's for them. It's a tool for them to see what's going on.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be perfect. But if you can go back and look at, if you're doing it on a weekly, on a Monday, if you go back and input actual bank transactions to make it perfect, it gives you that peace of mind, right?
Yeah.
So if you're following a diet and someone says eat 1,950 calories a day and you just guess, you're not going to be confident getting on that scale. But if you actually track your calories to the actual calorie and you hit that number, when you get on the scale, you're going to be more confident because you're tracking the number.
Yeah.
So you create confidence in business by tracking what's important.
Yeah, and being consistent with it.
Exactly.
Consistency is like another massive.
And people watching this video thinking he shouldn't be talking about calorie control.
Who uses MyFitnessPal?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so moving on from numbers. So what else? What are the other sort of things that you put in place for people in businesses?
Marketing. We've just acquired a marketing company who basically does the marketing at very close to cost value for our portfolio companies.
Right.
But instead of implementing marketing, we kind of strip back their marketing because a lot of people just throw money at marketing, but have no idea what their returns are, and they're usually very poor.
Yeah.
So we look at marketing. We look at mentoring the owners of what we do and why we do it. So instead of us just doing it for them, we teach them exactly what we do, why we do it, and why it's important. So what I like to think of is every business owner that we work with, take the money out of the equation, try and create a relationship with them where you want to help them so that if I drop them in any city in the world, they would be able to go into the majority of small to medium sized businesses and improve it using the skill sets we've taught them through financial reporting, through marketing, through knowing who to contact if you have certain problems, etc. So it's all about building the owner's skill set is where I get my kick from, really.
Yeah. And so like these owners that you're talking to and that are getting involved with Monopoly, like what are their backgrounds? Why are they coming to you? Are they at the point where they're struggling, or are they thinking we're doing all right, but I could do better? What's the niche for you to find someone where you feel you can really add value and they really need your support?
It's a good question, Noel, because I've got a reputation as a turnaround expert.
Yeah.
And we do a lot of turnarounds. So companies that are struggling, maybe they're profitable, but they're struggling with cash flow, as we alluded to earlier.
Yeah.
They lack systems and processes. They don't have the right contacts. They need mentoring. They don't have anyone they can talk to. They feel lonely. They're taking it home with them.
Yeah.
So they're types of businesses we've helped in the past, and we've added a lot of value. A good example of that is an electrical company, not too far from here, actually, in Peterborough. They were losing money. Spending too much on marketing, again, like I spoke about. We've been working with them about 10 months now. We've seen a 320% swing on their profitability, and that's just through inputting proper financial controls, proper marketing plan, accountability, mentoring, systems and processes, putting them in touch with the right people, etc. But we also work with companies that are profitable. We've just started working with a lift maintenance company. They do $250,000 profit a year, so a decent sized company, but they know what they don't know, so they want to take it to the next level. They want to put in the right systems and processes. They want accountability, and they want to exit in the future. And the three of us as partners have all exited companies separate from Monopoly, so we know what to do and we know what that business in a box looks like and how to get there. And we've also got the contacts to sell the business in the future. So a lot of people, I call it business turnaround. And then I also call it scale to sale. So if you got problems, we'll fix them, but then we'll scale to sale with the exit always in mind. And for example, if we were to work with you, Noel, and you didn't want to exit, we would then look to sell our shareholding back to you in the future. So you can retain 100% of your business, but we would exit accordingly. We've done that with one company before, and they want to stay on as a consultant. But Monopoly's only been going about a year, but my personal goal, it's a big goal, is to make 100 millionaires through what we do.
100 millionaires?
Yeah.
What time frame you got on that?
I don't have a time frame.
Okay.
Because I don't want to put any pressure on it. It's more about finding the right people. So I could work with 1,000 businesses tomorrow in the hope that I make 100 millionaires.
Yeah.
But I'd rather work with the right people.
Yeah.
So yeah, I want to make 100 millionaires. I think that's a decent legacy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've written down about legacy as well.
Oh, good.
Because you've got 2 young kids.
I have.
So has that changed your outlook on like how what you're doing?
Changed
and
my outlook on appreciation for sleep.
Yeah.
I've got 2-year-old and a 1-year-old, and you do look through things with a different frame.
Yeah.
When you've got children. So I'd like to leave a legacy. I'm not going to leave them a thing apart from skill sets.
Yeah.
And then they're in control of what they want to do. But I want to show them what's possible through business.
Yeah.
And through helping people, because I don't know about you, but when you help someone, there's not much of a better feeling.
Yeah.
And if you can help someone achieve their dreams. So I did a video a couple of days ago for my WhatsApp group. Got about 450 people in a WhatsApp group and our portfolio owners, saying, look, everyone says they want to be a millionaire. A lot of the time I don't believe it. There's no meaning to it. It's just a saying.
Yeah.
But what do you actually want? Where do you want to live? How much will your mortgage be? What car do you want to drive? How much is that a month? Where do you want to go on holiday? How much is that going to cost? When you reverse engineer it, that figure's usually a lot lower than what you think. It's called dreamlining, from Tim Ferriss's 4-hour work week.
Yeah.
But when you actually chunk it down, it's not as much as you think it is. So they say, oh, I want an 8-figure exit. Well, actually, you just need to be earning 240 grand a year, and we can get you there in 12 months. You just need to follow these steps. So my goal is to, although I want to create 100 millionaires, I want them to achieve their dreams first and their dream lifestyle. And I genuinely believe that if we can make them millionaires, they can do that. They just need to document exactly what they want.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that excites me, helping people achieve their dreams.
Do you have a lot of people that you talk to that where the challenge to get them to sort of change a bit of mind, probably a lot of it is mindset, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, I guess from coming to you in the first place is probably the biggest hurdle that if they've said, look, I need some help. I'm not the best person to deal with this. I'm going to get someone else in. But how often do you come up against that where someone just can't get over the shift? Like tell you what you want to hear maybe, or not want to embrace the thing. I guess you've got to go all in, right?
You know, I spoke about we turn around businesses and we scale to sale.
Yeah.
The turnarounds are a lot harder.
Yeah.
You find that a lot of them correlate being busy to being successful, where actually it's about being efficient. We've all got 24 hours. Some people, when they're busy, it makes them feel important. When you ask people, how's things going? Oh, I'm so busy. Like it's a badge of honor.
Yeah.
But actually, if you ask a successful person, they'll say, yeah, things are going well. This project's going well. They're all busy as well, but they don't have a badge of honor over being busy.
Yeah.
They pride themselves on being efficient.
Yeah.
So that's what I really try to drill into our guys, which is a difficult thing to do, because a lot of the time when you market yourself as being able to fix businesses, you go in and you fix the problems. But if the old habits are still there, the problems reoccur.
Yeah,
so that's frustrating from their end and our end, because they're saying, well, we still got these problems.
Yeah.
We say, well, we fixed them, but you just keep doing the same things over and over.
Yeah.
So it's down to me to take a step back and say, well, you can't blame these people. They've come to you for help. What systems or accountability can I put in place to stop them falling in bad habits? So where I thought this job role would be go in, fix the problem, take the business to the next level, I'm actually having to learn the skill sets and leadership to say, well, I can't just fix the problem. I now need to put in a buffer in between to stop them going back.
Yeah.
How can I improve personally so I can teach them in a way that they will want to change their ways? So it's making me guess myself and improve in that way as well.
Yeah, I can see that in you, because just from talking to you today, looking at how it's not just about identifying the problem, it's also understanding how to stop that from happening again.
Yeah.
Some people can see that as well.
Yeah.
It's then about having the sort of that empathy with the person to understand why it's getting there, to then get them to trust you to say, look, we've got to change this.
It's like if you went on a 12-week diet and you got yourself in great shape and you feel amazing and you're like, I did it, I've achieved my goal. And then the next day you go back to eating the way you were, your body's going to change again and start bloating back up. And that's what I see with the business owners.
Yeah.
So whereas I was maybe naively thought, they're in great shape now, they'll carry on with what they're doing. I need to go, okay, well, for the next 12 weeks, what can I do to stop them slipping again?
Yeah.
And I need to identify those patterns and try and nip them in the bud, whether that's through becoming a better leader myself, or putting together more accountability. So that's what I'm trying to do at the moment, because otherwise it's a waste of my time and it's a waste of their time. And to feel like I'm winning, I want people to win long term. It's all well them getting, like I said, a 320% increase in profitability. It's a great marketing line to say on a podcast. If they lose money next year, it's pointless, right? So I want him to do well every year. So that's what I'm trying to learn and improve on to help people, which is making me a lot more patient. And that probably feeds back to the parenting question as well.
Is the parenting teaching you patience, or is the business stuff teaching you patience for your kids?
I think it varies day to day.
Yeah, I know that feeling. I mean, my kids are older now, but for me growing up, I was always busy, like you say, and really focused on my business. And I definitely have been guilty of sacrificing family time for business. And sometimes, very rarely do I not regret that, because either I've done something and then that person's then ghosted you and you think, oh, do you know what? I gave up my afternoon that I could have spent at home to do this bit of work. And but I have to just straight away turn that mirror and look at myself and, well, I made that decision.
But you made that decision to better your business, to better your quality of life for your family, right? You didn't do it selfishly.
You sacrifice those short-term things for the long term. And I think now I do have, not that I never had a bad relationship with my family. I've always around. But in the early days of building this business, I was away a lot, working events. We're all over the place, and I was going.
But no, your competition who didn't have family were doing that as well. So unless you put your energy there, they would run away with the work and take the market share. So it was your responsibility to make sure that you had a sustainable business long term to provide for the family. So it depends what angle you look at it. But
that is a very good.
You've
Thanks,
got
you've just taken away a load of guilt from me.
I was going to say, you've got dad guilt there, and I suffer from it as well. If I'm trying to send an email or something, my kids are climbing off me. Get off me. I'm trying to send an email. I'm like, but you decided to work from home and spend time with your kids. So it's your problem. So I'm quite conscious of that. And when I mentioned dreamlining earlier, I've got my dream lifestyle, and I don't plan it around my kids, because I found that doesn't work, but I try to balance it as much as possible. And through doing that at an early stage, it's worked really well for me. So today I'm here visiting you. Tomorrow I'm going to Diggerland for my little boy's third birthday. And then Wednesday, I'm going to have to do an extra long day with probably twice as many calls that I'd prefer in one day. So we all have 100 energy tokens, right? It's where you spend them. It's just making sure you don't spend them in the same, unless you want to, in the same bucket day in, day out. But people without a family, it's very hard to compete against, because you need to spend your energy elsewhere and want to spend your energy elsewhere.
Absolutely.
It's difficult.
But I think also with that, it's an interesting analogy about competing against other people that will be there doing that thing all the time. I think a lot of people also value that you do have other priorities, and that's what makes you a good balanced person, right? Some people who are obsessive around things will tend to lose focus in the end, because you end up getting fixated on something.
And I've worked from home for last couple of years now, and I've just gone and got myself a remote working space, because my perfect world of being around the kids all day and being the perfect dad doesn't work out that way, because I end up stressed around the kids while I'm trying to work. So you got to pick where you spend your energy. So if I can work remotely and then in the evenings come home and give 100% that energy to the kids instead of diluting it, I think you got to find what works for you. There's always a perfect world in your head, but it never works out that way.
So. No, 100%.
But dad guilt is, I know mum guilt is a big thing. It has been for many a year, but dad guilt is certainly a real thing that I struggle with, and I have to reframe quite constantly in my head.
And finally, I said about a book recommendation.
Yes.
But you might have
How long you got?
Or films.
Yeah, or film. So I read 10 pages of a self-improvement or business book every single day. It's just a habit of mine. I recommend everyone does that along with cash flow. So I read loads of books, and it would depend on your situation and where you're at. A great book for mastering the mundane, which I referred to earlier as a key habit of the successful companies we work with, is Chop Wood, Carry Water. So that's a good book. It's only a short read. Highly recommend that book. Movies. I love the Thomas Crown Affair. I love inspirational movies. Thomas Crown Affair was a game changer for me, a life-changing moment. A gentleman that did big deals, earned lots of money, but he did it for the love of the game. That got me into business. The Founder movie.
Yeah, I watched that recently, actually.
Not great integrity, let's be honest,
no.
but very clever business-wise,
Yeah.
particularly with the property aspect of things.
Yeah.
The Godfather, big fan of 1 and 2. I think that's fantastic for business. For business, I think The Sopranos is up there as well.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you've watched that.
I did years ago. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of leadership lessons in The Sopranos, a lot of business lessons in there that maybe go under the radar because it is an entertainment program.
Yeah.
But if you watch it with the intention of learning, there's a lot of lessons in The Sopranos as well.
Yeah, but just to caveat, not for killing people.
Yeah, I don't condone killing people for business.
No. just
to get that out there, yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, cool. Well, Jamie, thank you so much for coming in and sharing
Pleasure.
your story. I've really enjoyed that, mate. Thank you.
Thank you. Enjoyed being here.
Cool.
Appreciate it. Thank you.